a non-devotee of Krishna, you are devoid of all auspicious qualities. Relieve yourself of this ill fortune as soon as possible, and do good to the whole family. A good son is called a bhatta, one who does not allow his father to fall down. The son can protect the father's soul when the father is dead by offering sacrifices to please the Supreme Lord Vishnu. This system is still prevalent in India. After the death of his father, a son goes to offer sacrifices at the lotus feet of Vishnu at Gaya, and thus delivers the father's soul if the father is fallen. But if the son is already an enemy of Vishnu, how, in such an inimical mood, can he offer sacrifice unto Lord Vishnu's lotus feet? Lord Krishna is directly the personality of Godhead, Vishnu, and Duryodhana was inimical to him. He would therefore be unable to protect his father, Dhritarashtra, after his death. He himself was to fall down because of his faithlessness towards Vishnu. How then could he protect his father? Vidura advised Dhritarashtra to get rid of such an unworthy son as Duryodhana as soon as possible if he was at all anxious to see the good of his family. According to the moral instructions of Chanakya Pandit, what is the use of a son who is neither a learned man nor a devotee of the Lord? If a son is not a devotee of the Supreme Lord, he is just like blind eyes, a source of trouble. A physician may sometimes advise the extraction of such useless eyes from their sockets so that one can be relieved of the constant trouble. Duryodhana was exactly like blind, troubling eyes. He would be a source of great trouble to the family of Dhritarashtra, as foreseen by Vidura. Vidura therefore rightly advised his eldest brother to get rid of this source of trouble. Dhritarashtra was wrongly maintaining such personified offense under the mistaken impression that Duryodhana was a good son, able to liberate his father. Sa esha dosha purusha dvidaste krihan pravishto yama pachamacha pushnasi krishna vimukho gata shrischa jasha shaivan kulakoshalaya. You are maintaining offense personified Duryodhana as your infallible son, but he is envious of Lord Krishna. And because you are thus maintaining a non-devotee of Krishna, you are devoid of all auspicious qualities. Relieve yourself of this ill fortune as soon as possible, and do good to the whole family. So now we are receiving instructions from Srimad Bhagavatam through the agency of Vidura. And one can understand that this Srimad Bhagavatam is fully conscious. I have seen unflinchingly for the few years I have been speaking on Srimad Bhagavatam that Srimad Bhagavatam, practically speaking, is so spiritual that whatever problem is manifesting at a certain place, the Srimad Bhagavatam will simply deliver the solution in the daily verse. Here we find Duryodhana is being challenged by Vidura. Now Duryodhana was very powerful. He was the king in essence, practically speaking, although Dhritarashtra had unlawfully taken the kingdom from the Pandavas. The Pandavas were too young because their father had died when they were too young. This is unfortunate. It happens often that due to the will of providence, because providence is the supreme. Providence means Krishna. It is not an unconscious thing. Due to the will of the Supreme Lord, which manifests in ways in which we cannot understand. Sometimes due to a most unfortunate circumstance, the father will leave the sons, and the sons, although very attached to the father, will practically be like dead men. but also due to the will of providence, they must go on with a heavy responsibility. We see the Pandavas were to be the kings. Yudhishthira was the rightful owner, the rightful possessor of the throne. But we can see how Dhritarashtra, the uncle, he tried to take away the throne. Not only tried, he succeeded. He did it by tricks. He said that the throne should be for these Pandavas, but because they are presently too young, it is the duty of the uncle, factually, or the ministers, to place a temporary ruler on the throne in order to maintain the kingdom properly until the time when the children are grown up and they can take over the kingdom as they are supposed to. So, at this time he took the throne, and the Pandavas were living peacefully under the protection of Dhritarashtra, they thought. But during this time, due to the envious nature of Duryodhana, who was their cousin brother, he was constantly making intrigues against the Pandavas and influencing Dhritarashtra. You can just see how Dhritarashtra, we read from the Krishna book, Akrura spoke to Dhritarashtra, told him, why are you so much inimical towards the devotees and Lord Krishna himself? It's all because of your attachment to these boys. And he said, yes, I know my attachment is unlawful, and I know Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but I am under the control of the modes of material nature, and I am forced in this way. So, these sons, the cousin brothers of the Pandavas, they caused Dhritarashtra to come into this position. Duryodhana especially. This is a very important principle. By association, one is contaminated. By association. One associates with those who are impure and have contaminated desires, then we become contaminated. It is a practical fact of life. It is even stated by Lord Chaitanya that one who is even in the position of spiritual master must not associate with those who are impure or accept charities from those who are impure, because by such acceptances he will become contaminated by their impurities and may fall down or may become very disturbed. Contamination means great disturbance. It means agitation by the modes of nature, and it means causing us to think or to feel or to receive reactions which we ordinarily would not. Contamination is very subtle. It goes deep into the heart, because actually it is something external which strikes at the very root of our material existence, our desire to be separate from Krishna. And here we see Duryodhana was actually desiring to be separate from Krishna. He was desiring to be actually the supreme controller. Krishna is the supreme enjoyer and the supreme controller. Bhoktaram jagitapasam sarva loka maheshwaram. Krishna is the supreme enjoyer of all sacrifices, and he is the supreme controller of all the world. Nobody can dictate to Krishna, although we try. But Krishna's will be done. Rationally speaking, Duryodhana had all of the forces. His father was the king. He was taking the kingdom under his control. He had 11 Akshahinis of men. The Pandavas only had 7. There's so many times, even before the war, where Duryodhana caused so much trouble to the Pandavas. He took Bhima and fed him some poison cake. They also bound Bhima, threw him in the river to kill him. They sent so many demons, friends of his, to go out and kill them when they were in the forest, and their spies were everywhere. He burnt down the house of Lak when the Pandavas were asked to go live in this place. They were told a very nice place, but actually they were put in a house made of completely shellac, and after 1 year there, the house was put on fire. They were meant to be killed. This was all the cunning of Duryodhana and his brothers. And Dhritarashtra was contaminated by them and allowed it to all go on more and more. Although he knew, even at the outset of the battle of Kurukshetra, he knew he was wrong. He knew his sons had to die. Prabhupada explains in the very commentary on the first verse, Dharmakshetra, Kurukshetra, that what is the situation, Dhritarashtra is asking, on this holy place, Dharmakshetra, this place of Kurukshetra. And Prabhupada says in the purport that he knew in his heart that the right was on the side of the Pandavas, who actually had been handed the mace from God. It's like Prabhupada says in his poem, you have the right, you hold the mace. The mace, this is from the time of the kings. The kingly scepter, the mace. This is a club which the king was given at the time of his coronation. This means he is empowered by God. The king is supposed to be the representative of God, so he is empowered by God. So, Prabhupada said to his spiritual master, you have the power, because you have been given the mace. Therefore, you can, by your divine grace, clear up all of the darkness and ignorance of this world. So, this is a very important point, to hold the mace. So factually, Yudhishthira was holding the mace. But for some time, it was just confused. Just confused, the issue. The mace comes from the Supreme Lord. Yudhishthira himself said, Duryodhana is such a fine king. See how he's acting? The people are happy. But Krishna said, that is not the point. The point is, I have given you the mace. You take it now. You take it again. You fight for me. You take that mace and you defeat these enemies. They said, but they're not my enemies. Krishna said, they are your enemies because I am telling you. And you are my servant because I am the supreme enjoyer. I am the supreme controller. And those who do not recognize my superior transcendental nature fall down. Krishna says, he's the Supreme Lord. He can say what he wants. You may disagree, but you will fall down. Duryodhana disagreed. So Krishna is not the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Enjoyer. He fell down. Even Krishna showed him his universal form. What more do you need to know a person is God? Here, all of the creation. Just see Duryodhana. He said, no, it's a trick. Mystic power. You're not God. He did not recognize the transcendental, supreme nature of Krishna, and he fell down. And not only he, but his whole family. And Dhritarashtra thus was polluted by this family. Vidura is now telling him that. This is before the battle. Vidura is saying to Dhritarashtra, fool, you are a fool. You are accepting the association of those who are factually demons. Why are you doing it? What is demon? It's very simple. Vishnu Bhakta Bhavedtaiva Asuras Tadviparjaya. We have very simple definition. It is not that we have to go through a Supreme Court judgment to discover who is a demon. The devotees of Krishna, they are devotees, they are like demigods. They're serving Krishna, Vishnu Bhakta. They serve Krishna. And the Asuras are those who are against that. It is not that they are against women's liberation or abortion or any of these. They are against the devotees. Even if they agree with so many things the devotees may say, they may even have the same philosophy. But if they're working against the devotees, working against the interests of Vishnu, definition states, Asuras tad viparjaya. They are against what the devotees are doing. It's a very simple definition. So, what do the devotees do? They recognize the supremacy of the Supreme Lord. They recognize the superior position. They serve Him. They serve him who holds the mace of the Supreme Lord. It's like, nobody in this room can deny Prabhupada is holding the mace. Prabhupada is holding the mace. The mace of Krishna consciousness. He has been given it by his spiritual master, who is holding the mace of the Supreme Lord. And on, he has passed it to the governing body commission, who he said is holding the mace for all affairs of this Krishna consciousness society. In the first line of his will, the governing body commission is responsible for all affairs of this international society for Krishna consciousness. He didn't say managerial affairs. He didn't say spiritual affairs. He didn't say business affairs. He didn't say love affairs. He said all affairs, every affair, whatever is there, the governing body commission is responsible. The mace has been handed down. Now those who work against those who hold the mace fit in this category. Asuras Tadvipajay. The mace has been given. Duryodhana didn't accept it. He said, that's your opinion. But I have a different opinion. My opinion's as good as your opinion. We are brothers. You are the Pandavas. You are Kurus. We are Kurus. You say you're the king. I say I'm the king. Let us fight and see who's the king. Yudhishthira said, no, who wants to fight? What is this fighting? You want to be the king? Be the king. I don't care. But Krishna, he said, fight. King means you can prove it. Fight for me. Go out, do it. Defeat, he told Arjuna. Arise, Tasmatamatishta Yashola Bashva. Arise, take your position. Take your position, because it's my desire. Maya nihitam purvameva. Nimittamacham bhavyasavasacham. It is my desire and it's already arranged that you will win. Therefore you must take my instruction and fight. Arjuna didn't want to fight, because a devotee never wants to fight. A devotee simply wants to accept. He wants to love others. He wants to help them. And even if a demon comes before him and says, give me this, give me that, he's even inclined to allow it. See Maharaj Yudhishthira. See Arjuna. Duryodhana was offense personified. Offense personified. The personification of offensefulness to Krishna, and Yudhishthira and Arjuna, they are saying, let him take it. What do we care about a kingdom? We do not care about kingdoms. We just want to serve. We want to serve the Supreme Lord. But those who are envious do not accept Bhoktaram Jagatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Those who are envious, they are very desirous of position. Very desirous of designations. It's like Duryodhana, I am the king. I want the position. What is a devotee? Take it. I don't care. I'm just doing my duty. Krishna says, Arjuna, fight. You take it. All right. That is my duty. I will take it without attachment. Envious man says, give me the position. I want the designation. And if you don't, then I will destroy you. This is offense personified, speaking through his agents. We, as devotees of the Lord, must be freed from all designations. We must not have in our consciousness the idea of designation. We must have in our consciousness the idea of service. Service to the Supreme Lord. Because as soon as one is busy with designation, then his whole life is dedicated towards building himself up into a position, just like the karmas. Upward mobility. Take your designation. Take your position. Come on up. Be attracted by fame, profit, and distinction. Be attracted by material qualities and elevate yourself accordingly. But no, devotees work on just the opposite principle. Give up all fame, profit, distinction. Give up all designation. Become servant of the servant of the servant of the gopis. Gopi Bharta Parakamalayo Dasa Dasa Anudasa. What happened to Dasa Dasa Anudasa? What happened to being humbler than the straw in the street? What happened to designationless devotional service? Sarvapadi vinir muktam tadpardvena nirmalam. Everybody can quote this verse. Even a new bhakta can quote this verse. Yet we see very advanced devotees don't know the meaning of this verse. Sarva upadi, all designations. Lord Chaitanya said, I'm not a sannyasi. I'm not a kshatriya. I'm not a brahmana. I'm not a sudra. I'm none of these things. I am dasa dasa anudasa. Servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. Servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. Pure devotees always think others are much more qualified than they. They always see the good in others. Look at Yudhishthira. Look at Arjuna. Seeing good in offense personified. Astounding. But this is a Vaishnava. Mahabhagavata will see everybody as serving Krishna and himself not serving Krishna. Because he is so fallen. But others, he sees how nicely they are engaged in Krishna's service. This is the vision of the pure devotees. But the vision of the envious is, he's not serving nicely, he's not serving nicely, he's not serving nicely, I can do better, I can do better, I can do better. This is contradictory. Contradictory. But at any rate, even if Duryodhana and his friends do not accept this, and even if they are to be placated and pacified by the devotees, the Pandavas who say, take it, Krishna is God. Krishna is the supreme controller. Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. Those who do not recognize his transcendental supreme nature fall down. And Krishna will not tolerate offenses against his servants. Don't make me blind. I can't see anything. How can I give a question? Krishna is very pleased upon those who simply render service to him. They simply come to Krishna, they come to their spiritual master, they throw themselves on the floor and they say, I am your dog, you please tell me what to do. You give me instruction, I am your humble servant. That's all. It's simple. I am the servant of Krishna. And all my upadi or designation, all my big ideas of myself, my self-conceptions, which have nothing to do with the fact that I'm the servant, these are to be given up. As it says here. You just give it up. Chaja, ashu, aishavam. Just give up this inauspicious thing as soon as possible. Here we see, you have a chance, you can give it up. It can happen immediately. When you want to, you can give it up. Take it out of the heart, throw it on the floor, and examine the nature of that which just landed. Nasty thing. You step on it, that's all. Walk away. In the heart is deep-rooted material desire. Nobody can say in this material world he has no deep-rooted material desire. Because it is the nature of the material world. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, just before he begins to describe the Varnas, which is the reason he has given them, there's no living entity, either in the higher heavenly planets or elsewhere in this universe, who is not subjected to the modes of material nature. The devotees generally do not become subjected to the modes of nature. But the modes of nature can come and subject them by bad association and by material contamination. But if the devotee maintains his freedom from designations and becomes nirmalam, purified, by rendering service to Krishna, that means what he says should be for service to Krishna. What he thinks should be for thinking of service of Krishna. What he does with his body must be for rendering service to Krishna in all kinds of ways, even if it means washing the floor, or even if it means conquering the world. On the absolute platform, there is no difference. We are servants. How many times Prabhupada has told us, in different times, some class or some faction tried to overcome another. The grihastas are to be overcome by the sannyasis, because all the grihastas are in Maya. And Prabhupada said, this is nonsense. And then the grihastas rise up and say all the sannyasis are in Maya. Prabhupada, this is nonsense. And then sometimes there's a revolution here, a revolution there. It's all nonsense. It's all missing the point. The point is, I am the eternal servant of Krishna, who is the supreme controller, the supreme enjoyer. Why do I think by my service I will enjoy? By my devotional service, I will gain enjoyment. If we have this idea in our mind, then it logically follows, then by advancing our position, we'll enjoy more. If by my devotional service, I'm going to gain enjoyment, then let me advance my position and get a nicer place to live, and a nicer position and more respect, and I will enjoy more. It's logical. Unfortunately, it's completely material. And it destroys devotional service. People are thinking, when I remember, don't mind me saying this. When I was young devotee, I was thinking, boy, look at that, the sannyasis are always getting maha plates. Someday I'm going to get a maha plate. I'm going to be a sannyasi, I can get a maha plate, then I'll enjoy it. The thinking is there. We're always thinking, if I get the next position, then I'll enjoy it. Of course, when you're a sannyasi, getting the maha plate, it's not very important business. So then you start thinking, when I become a GBC, then I'll enjoy it. Thinking as if there isn't 1,000,000,001 different responsibilities hammering at your head every minute of the day. And then we think, I'm not saying it works in this progression, but then we might also think, when I become a guru, then I'll enjoy. You see how we can sit here on these seats and everybody sits on the floor? And you see how we have very nice quarters everywhere? Very nice bed to sleep in. And a silver tray to eat off of. And everybody comes and falls at our feet and says, oh, walking God. When I get this position, then I will enjoy so much. I once described at my Vyas Puja what it actually feels like to sit on one of these seats. Now you all can sit like this, out there. You can put your leg here and there, you can stand up, you see. I can't do that. I have to sit here. Do you know how much my leg hurts? You actually have no idea how much my leg hurts. I am in so much pain right now. Because I have something wrong with my leg. When I stand up at the end of this class, you will notice I won't be able to walk for some period of time. I hate Vyasasans. From the sitting point of view. Now when it comes to comfortable beds, you see, I also have a bad back. And every time I lay on these comfortable beds, my back goes out of wing. I like sleeping on the floor. So I started sleeping on the floor. And then my disciples came in and said, "You can't sleep on the floor. Get back on that bed." So I got back on the bed. Now also I have so many problems with my stomach. So they bring in huge plates, everything with ghee. I say, "Listen, please, just give me something without ghee, simple prasadam. I'm so sick of all this, No. You must eat." And everybody's thinking, "Oh, big physician. He's enjoying it so much." And what am I enjoying? I'm enjoying the sinful activities of all my disciples sitting on my head, pounding my brain to pieces. I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it when my disciples go out and have illicit sex. It's great enjoyment to me to see them blue. No, it crushes me. You understand the point? You think, "Oh, it's so much enjoyment." I tell you, it's suffering. And everyone's thinking, "Oh, but that suffering makes you, help you advance and gives you love of Krishna." I'm waiting. I'm praying. No one understands, actually. This idea that upward mobility gives you pleasure, gives you satisfaction, is just what destroys the material world. Everybody out there is suffering like mad. You look at the furrowed brow. I've got to make it. I've got to get ahead. You've got to accept what I say as right. The only problem in this world is everybody thinks that nobody recognizes how great he is. And a friend is known when he recognizes you. When he walks up to you and says, "You're right. You're the greatest." We go, "He's my friend." And if somebody says to you, "My dear sir, you're a fool." He's my enemy. This is the material world. I mean, devotees are not meant to become a mutual admiration or flattering society. If we're in Maya, we say, "Sir, you're in Maya." How puffed up he is. Telling me I'm in Maya. He's in Maya! Then where are we going to get? I mean, we have to have somebody who says to somebody else, "You're in Maya." But that can be anyone. Anyone can come and say, "You're in Maya." Now why? I would personally become very afraid if of course he'd be right, but I'd be very afraid. Somebody comes and tells me I'm in Maya. Please tell me how I'm in Maya and how I get out of Maya. If he just walks up and says, "You're in Maya," then what is the use? There's nothing more that comes out. This is simply envy. If he comes and says, "You're in Maya, here's why," then we can discuss. And if he's right, then I must surrender to that and accept and become freed from that Maya. But you cannot understand what's right and what's wrong if you already have an idea in your mind or heart what's right and what's wrong. If we don't have a little bit of open-mindedness. Now what does open-mindedness mean? Does it mean we go around and democratically collect votes? And whatever the outcome is, we're open-minded enough to accept it? That's democracy. Democracy. It is the system of the demons. It is not the system of the Aryans, of the advanced personalities who know the absolute truth. Open-mindedness means you opened your mind and heart to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And how do you do that? How do you do that? Does that mean you go meditate on the ocean of milk and wait for the inspiration within? You surrender to your spiritual master. You pray with open heart and open mind to your spiritual master and let him instruct you from within what to do. And you take his books, and you read his books, and you study his books, and you learn his books, and you speak about his books, and you discuss on the basis of his books, and you come to conclusion on the basis of his books, and you act on the basis of his books. Because the books are the basis. And whose books? The books of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of this movement. Nobody's else. You name one quote where Prabhupada said, go to the library and read books, make a decision. Books are the basis. Well, there's plenty of books in the library. You can go to the New York Public Library. Are they the basis? No. You can go to the Gaudiya Math and find so many books. Are they the basis? No. In Hawaii, Prabhupada said, rascals jumping over the head of their spiritual master. Do they know what is in his books? Rascals, I say it again, rascals. No, the books of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder and Acharya of this movement. That is the basis. Books are the basis. Preaching is the essence. But as soon as we give up the books, and we give up preaching, because if you don't hear, you can't chant. If we give up the books of Prabhupada, the instructions of Prabhupada, then everything will go to hell. And we will speculate. I think. And we will go so many other places to get knowledge, when the very same knowledge is in Prabhupada's books, properly stated for this International Society for Krishna Consciousness, because he's the Acharya of ISKCON. And that Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, has appointed ISKCON's managing authority, the governing body commission, who unanimously agree Prabhupada's books are the basis. And everyone should take instruction from Prabhupada's books. Kimva Paraya. What need is there for anything else in the Bhagavatam? Here everything is here. How nicely, how living this Bhagavatam is, that today, this is the verse. Do you understand that Krishna is God? And the Srimad Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Do we really understand that? That in this age of Kali, people will get light from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Remember that picture in the first canto? And what is the Srimad Bhagavatam but Prabhupada's books? So where will we get light from? We will get light from Prabhupada's books. Read them. You will find amazing things in them. You will be astounded. You will be ecstatic. You will find Prabhupada is there on the page of every book. You'll find that every verse will answer every question. But if you don't read, you'll never find out. And if you read, you'll find out. Simple. Just try and understand this point. It is not difficult. Why someone won't be able to understand this point? Because he does not recognize Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. Krishna is the supreme controller. And those who do not recognize His transcendental nature fall down. Simple. Because of enviousness against Krishna. Enviousness against Krishna's devotees. That is the lesson. Envious against Krishna and envious against those who are serving Krishna. Who here can say he has no envy in his heart? We have envy, but we must purify it. And the way to purify it is through the books of Srila Prabhupada. As long, someone may say, why is he speaking on this point? Well, I know why I'm speaking on this point. If we do not free our hearts from the 6 highway robbers, of which envy is the chief, we will never hear the instructions of Srila Prabhupada. We may go on reading like an encyclopedia, but we will never hear it. We will never hear We will not be able to hear because we don't want to hear. Because as soon as the knife of Prabhupada's lotus instructions enters the heart, we will scream and squirm. And we will accuse the person who has given the instructions. You have caused me pain. You are my enemy. Due to envy. And if it hurts, you should understand I'm right. And if it doesn't hurt, Jai. Let's go on serving. Let's go on serving Srila Prabhupada. Yes, even if you are the disciple of one of Srila Prabhupada's appointed acharyas, you are serving Srila Prabhupada. Because we are always serving Srila Prabhupada. Because if you are serving your guru, who is a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, he's the guru serving Srila Prabhupada. And you're all meant to assist in that service. Therefore, we're all meant to read Prabhupada's instructions, take those instructions, and spread this Krishna consciousness movement all over the world without hindrance of envy, without hindrance of factionalism, without hindrance of disunity that comes from a misunderstanding of the point that Krishna is the enjoyer and Krishna is the controller. And we are meant to serve Him, nothing else. If we serve Krishna, if we try to love our spiritual master and just surrender our very lives to his service, then all problems disappear. And if we do like that, there are so many elevated, powerful persons just in this room, what to speak of those who haven't even come, that the world will fall on its knees. Very good analogy. And they will chant Hare Krishna mantra. They must. They must. Because Krishna helps fulfill the desire of his devotees. And if the desire of the devotee is, I want to spread Krishna consciousness, then it will happen. And if the desire of the devotee is, I want something else, then it will not happen. Krishna consciousness will not manifest throughout the world like that. Now in some places it's manifesting like anything. Krishna consciousness this year has leaped so far ahead, has advanced so far. So many temples have been created. So many devotees have been made. Throughout the world. So many books have been printed of Srila Prabhupada. So many books have been distributed. More than ever before. Yet in some places there's problems. Very few, but some. Why? Because in those places, personalities who are envious of Srila Prabhupada's movement have been causing trouble. And when that envy is kicked out of our hearts, then you just watch this Krishna consciousness movement. I guarantee you will not see an end. You will not see a limit to this Krishna consciousness movement. It will expand so fast, so powerfully, so wide and far. There was never anything like it in the history of this universe. That is a guarantee. You will see nothing like it. And all we have to do is try. All we have to do, just like Krishna told Arjuna, just try, Arjuna. Just try and see what happens. Give up this impurity of heart. Arjuna is representing all of us. There was an impurity of heart which was keeping him from following Krishna's instruction, which was keeping him from gaining everything as Krishna wanted it. Therefore, give up, all of us, give up our impurities of heart and fight for Krishna and attain that which Krishna wants us to attain. This world is unlimitedly big. There's unlimited responsibility for everybody in this movement to take up. But give up that which is in the heart, which is for preventing that. And then I guarantee, of course, what is my guarantee worth? But I think I'm speaking for more than myself. That I guarantee, we guarantee, that this movement will take over so fast the consciousness of men that no one will be able to understand, because it is pure transcendental spiritual movement. It is a pure transcendental spiritual movement if everybody within it is trying to serve Krishna without any envy or ulterior motive in the heart. Ahaitukiya pratiyata. Causeless, unmotivated devotional service. Hare Krishna. It always takes other people to point it out to him. It always takes Krishna. It always takes spiritual master. Sometimes spiritual master manifests in the form of other devotees coming and saying, listen Prabhu, there's something wrong. Sometimes spiritual master manifests as circumstances. That circumstances become such that you must recognize the problem. And other times it manifests as contamination, simply flooding the mind uncontrollably and making you just fall on the ground, pleading for the mercy of Krishna. But generally, it manifests as the instruction of the spiritual master, who, because he's not envious and not motivated, will see, look, you're in trouble, and this is the problem. Now please correct it. That is the spiritual master's business. To root out the problem at the heart and cure it. If he cannot root out the problem at the heart and cure it, then he's not a spiritual master. If he just agitates it and makes it worse, he's not a spiritual master. But if he can root out the cause of
desires for a position that organized society is good, but isn't it that we can accept anything favorable for devotional service, or by having a position or a devotional service in the future, that is a bad desire?
It is, if the desire is not according to Krishna's desire, it's a bad desire. And if it's a desire according to Krishna's desire, it's a good desire. Now be very careful.
If the devotees are not released, he is unconscious. If the devotees of a spiritual master are unconscious, so that you are giving grace to them, but they are not feeling that you are giving grace. They are thinking you are not giving grace. That misunderstanding in devotees. Until they are not developed, they cannot follow you.
Yeah.
This is the medicine I think in this. They are thinking you should be grace. If they want something, you should not give to them to fulfill this desire.
Yeah.
You will give according to scripture.
Yudhisthira and Arjuna gave their grace. Yudhisthira and Arjuna gave their grace to Duryodhana. He didn't accept it.
He has no capacity to follow it.
That's right. Why he had no capacity to follow? Because he was envious. And as long as you maintain envy in your heart, you have no capacity to follow.
He is not following.
Simple fact. Simple fact.
He is not following.
Because he's envious.
No, he is neophyte, not envious.
Duryodhana? Duryodhana is not a neophyte envious person. He's an advanced envious person. My point is very simple. You should see your spiritual master acting. How? Through the governing body committee. I have that faith. I have that faith.
Sometimes I feel in preaching activity, many devotees are falling together. The spiritual master cannot solve this. He is consulting another God brother to solve this problem. How can I solve this? I think that they did not know the actual Krishna consciousness. They are not Krishna conscious now as yet. So they are thinking this, that, they are falling like this. So if they are developed, then problem will be solved.
So you think development happens overnight, don't you?
No, they should follow.
Then you must have patience. Rome was not built in a day. Yudhisthira and Arjuna did not take over the kingdom in a day. It took years. No. Years. Long time. Patience. Have patience. Have faith. Did you ever tell Srila Prabhupada, I'm not purified. You're not a guru. You're insensitive. You're not qualified. I'm still not purified. I never say such a thing. I wait I have patience, faith, patience. I am the speaker. Do you mind that? Do you mind that I'm speaking? Do you mind that I'm trying to deliver the message? Do you mind?
I should realize it.
Does it bother you?
No, this Acharan and Kota, preaching and following.
If you want to ask a question, listen to the answer. If you want to fight, what's wrong?
It's simply communication.
It's simply communication.
Yes.
However, I'm speaking.
No, I cannot understand that the devotees, why they are not following. This is their problem. They are following. Why they are not following?
Devotees all over the world are following like anything. And Krishna consciousness in Australia, for example, is expanding beyond conception. Krishna consciousness in... Krishna consciousness in Europe is expanding beyond your conception. You look at England, how it's expanding. They're not quarreling. You look at Europe, you look at Bhagwan Maharaj's zone. I'm so envious, it's disgusting. It's expanding beyond your conception. You look at South America, it's expanding beyond your conception. We must understand what are facts and what are ideas. If we start talking about some idea that somebody somewhere is quarreling, therefore everything's gone to hell, I think we're completely missed the boat. People will always quarrel. There'll always be disagreement. And there'll always be so many reasons why there's disagreement and quarrel. But the fact is, Krishna consciousness is expanding. What is wrong? And we must have patience. In those places where there are problems, we must have patience. We must wait. We must help. Not that we agitate the quarrel. We must help. We must feed the spiritual lives. Feed the spiritually hungry mouths, which are like birds, waiting for the mother to give the worm. We are like that. If we are in this condition, we're saying, give me help, and then there's so much tweeting. If you listen, the birds are all in the nest, the little baby birds, and the mother's coming with the worm, and they're all going, the mother doesn't say, there's all this blah, 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 I'm not giving you nothing. The mother says, okay, now you take the worm. Are you happy? The others are going, wah, 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 wah. Says, wait a minute, I have to get more worms. It takes a while.
If your actual mother, then okay. Something didn't, they may be killed them, they may die. It did not suffer time.
Some of the birds die.
Yes.
Some of the birds do die. And the mother is actual mother. They may even be fed, but they get a disease. It's not the mother's fault.
Sometimes they fall out of the nest because you don't wait.
That's right. Exactly. Beautiful. Beautiful. He's from Australia? Good things in that Australia. You see how I have to sit like this? I tell you, it's nothing. Now I'll go back to this position. Let's say hello to Krishna. Hare Krishna.